Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the Erectronics League of Legends Spring Tournament for 2014. My name is Caster Seda, and today I am very excited to be bringing you the semifinals of this Erectronics League Tournament. Now, we've already gone through a few of our matches, taking a look at the bracket. We've seen some very, very fun games. CSULB's stupid team made it pretty far up the bracket. I believe we saw their game yesterday, but unfortunately they were eliminated. Same thing with the Wukong clan. They made it up, but then ended up losing to My Kawaii and Imyotos. And nowadays, we have followed the Farmers Fighting, who are actually the number 2 seed in the bracket. They're going to be playing up against CSU Long Beach's super team. That's California State University's super team. And we're currently in the custom game lobby. We're going to be starting up with this match in just a moment. But I just wanted to really quick give a shout out to our sponsors. Thank you guys so much for setting up this fantastic tournament. We've got AMD, XFX, and G8 providing the prizes. And speaking of prizes, how about we give those a rundown? The third place team in this bracket is going to get 5 $10 Riot game cards and 5 AMD LED light sticks that you can slap onto your computer or laptop if that's more your speed to make it so that you can sort of game in the dark. The second place team will score 5 Hitman Absolution Steam codes, 5 NVIDIA beanies, and 5 $10 Riot game cards. So you'll be able to play Hitman as a bald man while wearing a beanie. I don't know if in Hitman you can wear a beanie, so you could be a man wearing a beanie while you're a man wearing a beanie. Just beanieception, but I don't know. It's a crazy game. Never played it. And first place prize is going to go to whoever ends up winning the best of 3 finals that are going to happen tomorrow. Those guys are going to take home 5 AMD Radeon R9 2400 16GB sticks. That's 2 8GB sticks of 2400 megahertz kit memory DDR3. It's not going to be the DDR5, but those are still valued at about $220 per stick. And your entire team gets 5 of those 16 gig kits, valuing at about $1,100 total. In addition to that, you also get 32 gigabyte of AMD's RAM disk software and 5 $25 Riot game cards. And I believe this tournament is sponsored by Riot as well, so the winners will also receive the Triumphant Rise skin. Don't hold me to that because it's not currently listed on our prize package, though I'm certain it should be, seeing how fantastic the play has been from these players so far. So winning a tournament this big and not getting a Triumphant Rise skin is not something to be expected. But again, this is going to be Farmers Fighting versus CSU Long Beach's super team. And we'll be getting started as soon as the players decide to get going. Now, yesterday, we ended up watching one game between the Farmers Fighting and Super Meow Mix Nyan Cats, where the Farmers Fighting ended up taking a win after a 40 or 50 minute slog fest. The Farmers Fighting, they were pretty solid on their rotations, but what really won them the game was the fact that they maintained complete and total objective control. They took dragons, they took barons, and they shoved turrets and inhibitors. And despite the fact that more often than not they were down in gold, Super Cats, they just felt behind the entire time. Morally, they never wanted to engage with the Farmers Fighting, even though they were ahead. And eventually, the Farmers Fighting, through their aggression, took enough objectives to secure a solid win. So we'll have to see if they have stepped up their play just a little bit in this game number. I believe this is their 3rd game of the championship, and this is going to be a best of 3, so there is a little bit of leeway to these 2 teams. Now, on the other hand, CSULB's super team played against For the Ratchets, which is a UCSD team that I am familiar with as a student from UCSD, and won. Oh no, they played against CSU Long Beach's EGG team and won. Then they played against the victorious Secret Gaming team and won to advance to play Farmers Fighting. So both of these 2 teams are currently 2-0 right now. And we are currently in the picks and bans. I'm not familiar with super teams play, though it seems as though they have something pretty standard prepared. They've got the Nocturne Zinshao Jungle Band away, both very popular junglers thanks to the resurgence of the Feral Flare. It is such a strong item. And on Xin Shao, once you complete the Feral Flare Blade of the Ruined King, you don't even need to get the Yomu's Ghost Blade afterwards. You can go straight into a Randuin's or Banshee's Veil and start getting tanky, because at that point, Xin Shao already scales so very well, and it is really, really difficult to deal with him. Nocturne is also very popular because of his assassination potential with the Feral Flare. He uses the Paranoia, dashes into the enemy team to try to snipe out a carry with a Blade of the Ruined King and Yomu's. Unfortunately, that does mean that his ganks are a little bit weaker because he isn't too tanky. And oh man, Derpent at the last second switching into Master Yi. Now this is pretty cool to see. Master Yi is pretty much the Feral Flare jungler. He gains attack speed, he gains attack damage, he gains attack damage on hit with the Feral Flare, benefits from the Blade of the Ruined King, benefits from the Yomu's. That's almost his standard build path in addition to the Wriggles Lantern, so just having that Wriggles turn into the Feral Flare is even stronger. Unfortunately, however, that is going to leave him rather vulnerable in the early game. Most of the Feral Flare junglers that I have seen like to take their time and farm that up as quickly as possible. They don't go for a lot of ganks. They're very susceptible to early jungle pressure and counter plays, and that also leaves their lanes and early objectives very vulnerable. The way to beat that out is to pick someone who can counter jungle and effectively nullify that super farm heavy strategy. Somebody like Lee Sin, somebody like Elise, a very powerful duelist. Amun-Ra locking in that Fiddlesticks, he's looking to be that powerful duelist. He's going to be able to drop his Horrify onto Master Yi and pretty much negate any of Master Yi's effectiveness until he starts to get tenacity with the Mercury Treads or the Spirit of the Ancient Golem, or even delay it even later for the Mercurial Scimitar. I don't know that I agree with waiting that long, because the Terrify just has an enormous amount of fear. So we'll have to see how successful AA247 is going to be. And actually, we do have some summoners switched around for these guys. I don't know if they are in LCS order. I do know that Emily Von Comp is going to be the AD carry for Farmers Fighting on the blue side. So I don't think it's going to be AD Lux. Likely going to be seeing that AD Caitlyn. And already the G-Man Link's locking in that Thresh as well. So he could give that over to Forgive Me, I Suck, who I believe is going to be playing the support, though. Again, it's all going to be, we're going to find out what that is once we get into the 3-minute delay and these guys lock in their summoner spells. Now, on the other hand, looking at CSULB's super team, I saw some of these players actually last Saturday at BeachCon, hosted at CSU Long Beach. Please know Fiorito, Derpent, and Nestle. They all played very well. Unfortunately, the CSU super team did get eliminated rather early on from the event. I believe they made it to the semifinals, which is a contradiction. I know they said they got eliminated early on, but the semifinals, it's early on for me because that's the first game I casted. They did get eliminated, and they still put up a very fantastic fight. If I remember right, they have some really, really powerful team fights, though if they find themselves on the back foot, they were a little bit, I guess, floundering. They had difficulty responding to rotations from the enemy team, so we'll have to see how successful they are in this match against the Farmers Fighting. Now, secretly, I don't know if I'm actually allowed to say this, but the Farmers Fighting are supposed to be playing in another tournament that's starting about 25 minutes ago right now from NCSPA, the NLCS, the National League of Legends Collegiate Series. And the fact that they're not makes me think that they're either very confident that they can beat out the other collegiate teams, or they're very confident that they can skip today's match for the NLCS to win some quick riot points and memory by taking out these guys over the course of this 3-day tournament. So I look forward to their play. I'm very, very comfortable with these guys. I've been casting their games for about 6 or 7 weeks, so I am very excited to see them in something outside of the NLCS, and I look forward to their play. Now, taking a look at the summoner spells coming down right now, they haven't been locked in just yet. We've got about 20 seconds before I can really talk about them, so I guess I'll talk a bit about that top lane. We're going to see AA247 on that Malphite versus Nestle on the Rise. Rise has become very popular in the past few days. I don't know if he was played in the LCS or if he's made a comeback in another one of the pro scenes, but the fact that his cooldowns are so exceptionally short allows him to trade really effectively with the powerful bruiser meta in that top lane. People like Renekton, Shyvana, and Trundle do not have the lifesteal to keep up with Ryze's constant spell pestering. Early on, if he can take a solid advantage, it's very easy to snowball that. And even if he finds himself falling behind, it's not that hard to farm under turret because he has such short cooldowns. And once he gets level 6, gets that desperate power, he'll be able to drop that at the drop of a hat and just completely eliminate minion waves and try to bully his opponent out of lane. The most popular build for Ryze for the time being is pick up an early tier of the Goddess to start building up your mana pool, as Ryze's abilities do all scale with mana, followed by either a Catalyst, the Protector, to provide additional sustain in lane, or completing that into the Staff of the Seraphim with the tier of the Goddess. So we'll have to see what he decides to go with. Now, 247, he's got a bit of a situation, I guess a build path to decide upon. He's up against 2 assassins, Ahri and Master Yi, sustained magic damage on that Ryze, plus your standard AD carry support. He could decide to go for that ability power Malphite and just get the unstoppable force to really obliterate a target and remove them from the map. But I don't know that that's going to be too effective. Ahri, if she sees it coming, she can Spirit Rush out of it. Same thing with Lucian. He can dash away. Derpent, he can activate the Alpha Strike and become untargetable, completely dodging the spell. The only 2 vulnerable targets would be Please No Fiorino, who has a Black Shield to absorb the damage, or Nestle on Ryze. But again, Ryze gets tanky and Morgana has the Black Shield. What I'd rather see from 247 is a nice tanky Malphite. Build up a lot of armor to soak the auto attacks from Lucian, followed up with a really quick either Banshee's Veil or even Spirit Visage to try to keep up with the magic damage from Kimchi and Nestle. I think he's going to be more focused on getting early armor to deal with Lucian and Master Yi than magic resist, possibly opening up with the Spectre's Cowl just so that he can lane effectively against Ryze and then go for a Warden's Mail or a Giant's Belt, something just to give him some solid tanky overall stats. It'll be pretty fun to see what he decides to go for. If I remember right, he does like those tankier style top laners, so I expect to see him go for that sort of style. Though, again, this is going to be a best of 3 series, and in game 1, anything goes. So it'll be pretty fun to watch how he does. Now, in the jungle, we're going to see the Fiddlesticks versus Master Yi. I talked a bit about how Master Yi wants to rush his 25 large monster camps as quickly as possible for the Feral Flare. Master Yi benefits so very much. I believe on 4.5, the release day, and the following week since that release, every single solo queue game that I played, Master Yi was either the first or the second ban. People do not want him on the board because of how powerful he is. If you're unprepared, if you've got nothing to deal with the amount of damage he can output in such a short amount of time, then your team is just going to be absolutely shredded to pieces. Interestingly enough, however, G-Man Link's taken the jungle Fiddlesticks. Fiddle doesn't have as powerful a clear time as Master Yi. He doesn't have as powerful ganks until he gets level 6, but where he excels is going to be that Horrify. Anytime he sees either Justin Kimchi on Ahri or Derpent on Master Yi, he's just going to drop the Horrify and lock them down for a solid 2.5 seconds. That is just going to be incredibly powerful for his team. There's Emily Von Comp, who can follow up on damage, Amon Ra, who can try to go for the light binding, AA247 can follow up with the unstoppable force, and Forgive Me I Suck on Thresh can follow up with a death sentence. So there really is a lot of excellent team fight potential from farmers fighting if they wait for Fiddlesticks. And it doesn't even have to be waiting for Fiddlesticks. If Malphite tosses in the unstoppable force, Thresh can use a death sentence to follow up with the chain, toss down a box. There's AoE on that Lux. And by the time all of that has happened, you've got Surprise Party Fiddlesticks dropping the Crowstorm inside of the enemy team. They're just going to be left wondering what the hell happened. I mentioned a little bit earlier, there is not a frontline for Super Team. I think they're really going to have to rely on their picks in order to get successful team fights. They got assassination left and right with that Master Yi, with that Ahri. So if they can get on a team fight in their terms, they are going to do exceptionally well. But until that happens, I think they're going to be rather vulnerable and just stick to a regular laning phase and just try to drag that out. They do have to be careful, though, because Lux, Fiddle, and Caitlyn scale pretty powerfully into the late game. I don't know if they scale... I don't think that they scale as well as the Ahri, Ryze, Master Yi, and Lucian, but it's one of those things. You have a regular team composition that can do sustained damage over a long period of time versus a squishier, higher burst team composition. It's going to come down a lot to the skill of the players, how comfortable they are on their champions, and how comfortable they are as a team. If they can manage to play out the fights according to their team compositions, they're going to do rather well. And a lot of this is going to come down to the engages. If Forgive Me I Suck gets the death sentence, if 247 gets the unstoppable force, or if G-Man Lynx finds the Crowstorm over the wall with the Horrify, then that's going to go really well in their favor. On the other hand, if Justin Kimchi can manage to find the Charm, then he is going to be in such a fantastic spot, removing a target. Same thing with No Feeder Reno. He wants to land the Dark Binding, wants to land the Shackle, and just keep targets locked down. So the rest of his team can remove that target from the map. Amon-Ra and Emily Von Comp both picked rather long-range champions on that Lux and Caitlyn, so they should be pretty safe in the background if they have someone to peel for them, though we'll have to see when it gets to that point. Now, we have loaded into the Rift. We're about a minute into the first game, and we can see a defensive lineup immediately picked up for both of these teams. They don't want to try to go for anything too aggressive. A quick Lucent Singularity, just dropping out a little bit of vision. No Feeder Reno is going to see that. He knows that Lux is over there, which means that likely he's got to assume that they're either doing a defensive line or that Fiddle is actually going to be starting at his red. And we can see Master Yi rotating around a little bit. He was up at the red buff, looking like he's going to be starting at the blue. I don't know if that's because they saw the Lucent Singularity and think Fiddle is at the red, so he wants to get the same camp. Or if he just wants the blue, we'll have to keep an eye on whether he wants to try to trade with Fiddle at that level 3 once both of them have the blue buffs, their double buffs or not. But we'll just have to keep an eye on those jungle paths. And taking a look at some of the first item pickups, let's take a look at the support items because everything else is fairly standard. On Forgive Me I Suck, he actually decided to open up with the very fast Ruby Crystal. I've been seeing a lot of Threshes do this, and it's really a question of preference. The Ruby Crystal provides the raw health, but it also builds into that Sightstone a lot faster than if you were to go for an early support item, such as the Ancient Coin, such as the Relic Shield, or even the Spell Thief's Edge, as we see on that Morgana. So, yes, it does not provide as much instantaneous gold. It doesn't provide as much utility early on, but once he gets that Sightstone, he's going to be completely safe in that bottom lane, and that's going to allow Emily Von Comp to just farm all day. We can see Emily is currently shoving onto Songs and Feeder Reno. He's doing a good job of farming. He hasn't missed that much CS. I think he's only missed one so far, but this early on, it's not that big of a deal. Again, it's only 3 minutes in. And he's going to be looking out for ganks from Derpent on that Master Yi. If Master Yi can get a successful gank onto that bottom lane, then he is going to be just in such a fantastic spot because it's two very squishy champions, and the assassination damage from that Master Yi, he does have the highest AD scaling in the game. The only person who comes close is, I believe, the only person who comes close would be Draven. Scales, I think, a little bit less than Master Yi because he is ranged. And whoa, a Dark Binding finds Emily Von Comp. And look at the death sentence from Forgive Me I Suck. His carry gets caught. He says, how am I going to respond? I am going to deny the engage by counter-engaging on the enemy. That is some really confident play on that Thresh. I absolutely love what he just did right there. That takes some really solid control on Thresh to see that sort of position. And I know I'm going to be lauding Farmers Fighting because I know the team. But I will do my best to be as unbiased as possible for CSU Super Team. And now we're just in a regular laning phase. Everybody's taking their time. No crazy action going on. We saw a bit of a gank in the mid lane coming out from G-Man Lynx. He looked to try to get something onto Justin Kimchi, but not finding it, not going to burn any summoner spells as he was. I believe he may have been spotted out by a ward. Yeah, Aries is going to be on cooldown, so Justin Kimchi continue to farm out. Black Shield finds the songs. He gets pulled back despite the Black Shield. Not going to be taking too much damage, however. In the top lane, it's just your regular farm fest between fighters. AA247 opted for the early Crystalline Flask instead of a Magic Mantle or boots and health pots. He's going for sustain so he can keep up with his farm against that Ryzen. Oh man, G-Man Link's actually coming in for a gank. He's going to get the Horrify over the wall. Nestle has got to be careful. The drain goes down. He's brought low. 247 takes a turret hit, drops the Ignite. I don't know that the Ignite is going to kill him, but it is certainly going to push Rise out of lane. And with 247 shoving the minion wave with G-Man Links, they're going to secure a pretty quick advantage for 247. He's already 6 farm up. And while the Tear of the Goddess has been completed on Nestle, the fact that he's missing out on all of this farm and experience, never mind. He drops in the teleport. He's not going to miss a single minion. He makes it in time to secure that. Really solid play coming out from Nestle, dodging the game without burning his flash. He finds himself back in lane, just very confident, and I don't think there was anything burned. He just trades the teleport for the Ignite on 247. But again, it's going to be, now that he has that completed Tear of the Goddess and an additional Ruby Crystal on top of that, he's going to be feeling pretty fantastic against Malphite. He has got mana on top of mana. He knows that Malphite doesn't have teleport, so whenever Malphite goes to blue pill for the first time, he is just going to be absolutely free to shove, as he has got copious amounts of mana out the wazoo. But until that happens, he's just going to continue farming and trading. Already he's caught back up in farm with that Malphite. We see 247 on the recall. Fiddle is actually nowhere near that top lane, so a little bit of miscommunication for farmers fighting. I would like to see Fiddle go up there and try to cover that lane, but yeah, it looks like he's going to be on his way up there. In the meanwhile, Ari with the first recall, not going to be opting for a quick Fiendish Codex into the Deathfire Grasp. Looks like Justin Kimchi is going to be relying on mana to try to sustain the poke that he's getting from Amon-Ra on Lux. He wants to continue to try to farm up in that lane, and rather than going for the pure burst assassination that a Needlessly Large Rod or a Fiendish Codex, he's just going to take his time, farm it out, play it for the late game, which I think is a good idea, seeing their team composition. And G-Man Link's going for a bit of a gank once again on Nestle, forces yet another recall as 247 finds his way back into lane. 247 is only 5 farm down, and he's going to have no problem catching back up, as that Rise did just recall. And Rise didn't even have the gold for a Catalyst of the Protector. He's still waiting at base, but nope, doesn't get it. Unfortunately, that's not the best situation for Rise. 2 recalls, only 1 core item completed. I've been talking a bit about the lanes just because it's what the camera has been focusing on so much. But let's take a bit of time to look at the jungles. Derpent, he actually just took the blue for his team. He's got his completed Wriggle's Lantern 7 minutes into the game. He's already up to 14 large minion camps, and whoa, looking for a gank in the bottom lane. There's no wards from Forgive Me I Suck and Emily Von Comp. Let's see if the Dark Binding is going to find them. Here comes Derpent around the ball. Dark Binding threads the needle, finds Emily Von Comp, secures first blood for Derpent. And that Wriggle's Lantern, I believe it does provide stacks with kills. No, the Feral Flare provides stacks with kills, and instantly we see Super Team collapse onto the Dragon. Now this is a very clever play indeed. I don't know if they saw Fiddle in that top lane, but the moment that Caitlyn went down, we saw the Highlander dropped once again from Derpent, and that is going to secure CSU Super Team a quick 1,500 gold advantage over farmers fighting 8 minutes into the game. It was dead even just a few minutes ago, but now that that early gank from Master Yi is helping them, then they are just going to be able to snowball this so very, very quickly if they take their time. And Master Yi, he's already making more of a presence than Fiddle. Fiddle pushed out that Rise in the top lane, but Rise is not being bullied away. He's got the Tear of the Goddess. He's got health and mana, so he's got no problem soaking and trading a little bit. In addition to that, he has some pretty solid wave clear too, so if ever 247 finds himself pushed to Nestle's turret, Nestle can just teleport in and clear it. Later on, that teleport is going to become a much bigger threat for farmers fighting than the single Ignite from 247. If we see a split push come out from Rise, it's going to be a lot more terrifying than the 5-man with a Malphite and Ignite. Of course, Malphite wants to be with his team because he has that unstoppable force. He needs people to follow up on him. though we'll have to see how effective that is, as again, it's only 9 minutes in. We're not going to see any team fights for a while, judging from how these two teams have been playing their laning phase. Master Yi running around the ward for a little bit. He's still rocking that blue buff. His red was stolen away by G-Man Lynx, who made a very solid counterplay, seeing the enemy team make a dash towards the dragon. But I believe that was just farmers fighting, spending a little bit too much time in the bottom lane. Emily Von Comp and Forgive Me I Suck, they actually hadn't recalled until that gank had happened. And the fact that they were out of wards, their trinkets were on cooldown, just punished them there as Master Yi came in. Now Amon-Ra trading a bit with Justin. Looks like not going to be too much happening. A ward was just cleared out from Derpent. He's going to wait over the wall to try to bait someone out, but just kidding. Surprise, Fiddlesticks finds Justin Kimchi, who Spirit Rushes out of the final spark as well. So just going to be soaking a lot of damage there, just avoiding the Crowstorm and the final spark. Justin Kimchi, he did blow both his flash and his heal, but using that Crowstorm from Fiddle is denying a lot of the potential fight potential. Yep, I said it. Those are words that came out of my mouth. It's going to be denying the fight potential from that Fiddlesticks. So now that he's just going to be relegated to farming Fiddlesticks, hopefully he should be able to catch up with that Master Yi. He's about 6 down. Emily Von Comp caught in the dark binding. Soul Shackles go down, but Fiorino leads it. He gets the stun across the wall. He just needs one auto attack. Pasongs secures it. Man, please no Fiorino. Seeing the dark passage, eating it. That was just such a crazy play, and he fed the kill to his carry. If he doesn't get this turret, I am going to be so sad because that was freaking awesome. Forgive Me I Suck is doing his best to defend it. He's going to be able to clear the waves, but oh man, Fiorino making plays on that Morgana. That is just comfort on a champion that you do not get just picking it up. He clearly knows what he's doing. We'll have to keep an eye on him later in team fights if he goes for those crazy soul shackles like this one, and who his focus is going to be. Obviously, he wants to keep Emily Von Comp and Amon-Ra away from the rest of his team, though they have very long range. If he isolates himself by going for the Soul Shackle onto Amon-Ra or Emily Von Comp, that could actually mean his death, as there is a lot of utility and CC lock capability from farmers fighting, though we'll have to see whether or not that will be the case. Now 247 has returned to lane in top. He is just a little bit down. He's about 6 CS down, 12 minutes in, so normally this would be a very difficult lane, but he's really using those crystalline flask charges rather effectively, keeping his shield off of cooldown as much as he can. He's opened up with a Giant's Belt and a Negatron Cloak just for sustain, and he's not even going for the completed Spectre's Cowl. He's just going straight into health after getting that magic resist, as he knows he can soak Nestle early on, as Nestle doesn't do too much damage early on, or Rise doesn't do too much damage. So makes sense. He is recalling now. I'd like to see, he's got about 585 gold. That's not going to be enough for Spectre's Cowl. We'll have to keep an eye on what he decides to open up with next. And looks like it's actually going to be a Null Magic Mantle. Crowstorm in the bottom finds Pasong's Flay, pulls him back. The Horrify locks him down. G-Man Lynx securing a free kill. Fiorino did a good job earlier, but he was just not at the right place there, going for a ward at Tribush, but surprise Fiddlesticks doesn't gank from Tribush. Surprise Fiddlesticks ganks from lane and Crowstorming your face. And that secures a pretty nice advantage over to farmers fighting in that bottom lane. Now, it is just about even in gold, 3,600 on that Caitlyn, 4,100 on Lucian. Not that much of an advantage. We're only seeing it manifest itself in completed Berserker Greaves on that Lucian, though Caitlyn does still have enough gold in the bank to complete that whenever she does decide to recall. But the first turret of the game, however, going to be going over to farmers fighting if they continue to siege up in that bottom lane. It's very low health, actually at 386 health, and they're not clearing it out quite yet. I think they were just waiting for the next minion wave. I'm not quite sure why they were doing that. I think they're trying to stagger it with the dragon respawn. 247 finds himself in a bad spot here, and this is Derpent with the completed Pharaoh Flare. Bilgewater Cutlass also, so looks like 247 uses the Unstoppable Force to escape with his life, but seeing that Master Yi in the top lane and dragon about to spawn in 16 seconds, I'd like to see if farmers fighting have got that dragon on a timer if they know that that's going to be happening, but seeing Yi rotating down towards the mid lane, Luck's going to be forced to back away. Fiddle still clearing away his jungle. He has completed his Spirit of the Spectral Wraith, so he can keep up in damage with Master Yi. He also has some lifesteal as well. Yi going to clear out a few wards. That's a pretty good spot for the ward. Lucent Singularity finds him, dodges the light binding, throws the meditate just for funsies. That's going to put it on cooldown for 30 seconds, but at this point, it doesn't matter, as this is now 3 members collapsing onto the dragon. Yi has got the damage if he can burst it down, though they have to be careful for that Fiddlesticks. His Crowstorm still going to be on cooldown for another 30 seconds, which is not going to be able to contest this dragon going down. Caitlyn and Thresh waiting over the wall. The ward is going to spot it out, and oh, they do not manage to get the steal. CSU Super Team going to be in such a great spot. Dark binding over the wall, finding Forgive Me I Suck. He's getting burnt quite low. The culling goes down. Spell Shield denies the trap from Emily Von Comp, but Forgive Me I Suck walks away with his life. Again, that's just those Morg plays from Fiorino, leading the Dark Binding and dropping the Black Shield so that Lucian can continue moving while doing that culling. It didn't net them the kill, but it forced that Thresh recall, which is going to allow Lucian to shove out in that bottom lane. He has got the BF Sword and Vamp Scepter, and the turret's already below half health, so with this wave, they might be able to take it. But here's G-Man Lynx over the wall. He's waiting for that Crowstorm. I don't know if they have vision from the minions. I think they do from that far back, but he's just going to recall to his base and heal up instead. Now, a big deciding factor in the reason that Dragon went over to CSU Super Team was the fact that Master Yi right now, he's starting to He's entering that exponential scaling phase. He's completed the Feral Flare, he's got the Bilgewater Cutlass, so he does some major damage. While it's not a Blade of the Ruined King just yet, he has got 1,400 gold in the bank, and he's continuing to clear through jungle camp. He's got Sustain from the blue buff, Lifesteal from that Bilgewater Cutlass. He's got just about everything. The moment he finishes that Blade of the Ruined King, I expect to see him become a much more gank-oriented champion, possibly try to go for some team fights. Amun-Ra gonna have to be careful here. Let's see if the charm is gonna land from Justin. This could very well be a dive. Amun-Ra flashes down. Durpin does not want to go that deep for the kill. His Alpha Strike was already used, and unfortunately, that was the Highlander drop. Fiorino gets caught in the box. Here comes Crowstorm from over the wall. I don't know if he has got the damage. Songs is low. He does have the damage indeed. That needlessly large rod going down. Ace and Ball finds Fiorino. Death Sentence pulls him back. A double kill on that G-Man Lynx. He has got all 3 of his teams killed right now. That's 100% kill participation. Same thing with Emily Von Comp and Forgive Me I Suck. And that's going to help them take that first turret in the bottom lane. It's 17 minutes in, not a turret has fallen. Just kidding. They're not going to go for the turret. Instead, they're going to collapse onto Ahri. Spirit Rush still on cooldown. Flash being used. She has got the heal too. Flash follow-up from G-Man. He's got the red buff for the slow, but Justin uses the heal for move speed. A bit of slow coming down. G-Man Lynx doesn't get the kill. And with Master Yi in the bottom lane, Emily Von Comp cannot duel against him. So that means they're not going to be able to take that turret. It's 17 minutes in, and they don't have a single turret. It's only a 2,000 gold lead in favor of Team Super Team. Farmers fighting, they're falling further and further behind, but they're keeping up in farm, they're keeping up in objectives, which right now are a whopping 0. And while the 2 dragons have gone over in favor of Super Team, it's not manifesting itself in that much of an advantage. The Blade of the Ruined King and the Feral Flare is finished on Master Yi, so he can go for some crazy, I'm gonna dive you, wreck your face plays, though I don't know if that's something that he wants. The rest of his team isn't at that point just yet. The Rod of Ages is only just picked up on Nestle, only an Aphian's Unholy Grail on Justin Kimchi, so he's not going to be able to assassinate targets. And look at that! 18 minutes in, the first turret goes down. It's the caster's curse, I'm telling you. You say something isn't going to happen, and of course it happens. Whoa, look at the damage coming out from Caitlyn. Ace in the hole, dropped on Basongs. Here's Fiorino from behind, going 1v1 with the enemy AD carry. The flash again, he doesn't get the Soul Shackle this time, but the Frost Queen claim locks them down. Heal drop from Emily Von Comp, flash from Songs, keeps himself alive. Fiorino, he's trying to keep himself out of there. Does he have the lifesteal? He gets the kill. This is Songs going deep. He gets 1 kill, looking for number 2. Forgive Me I Suck flays back, forced to flash away with his life. I don't know if that was worth it for farmers fighting 1-for-1, but you don't want to trade your AD carry for your support. 3-3 on that Caitlyn, 2-2-1 on that Lucian, and Durpin with the jungle steal got in the unstoppable force. He might be able to make it out of this one if Nestle can get the help. He managed to get the soul on G-Man Lynx. Durpin turning this around. Ignite gonna deny the Blade of the Ruined King. A huge final start removes him from the map, and that is going to mean Nestle is in between a rock and a wall. That rock being Malphite. He flashes his way over a 2-4-7. Not going to flash with the follow-up. Kimchi, however, looking to find G-Man Lynx. He's going to go down. Dread gonna lock him into position. Nestle once again collapsing with 247. Lux still nowhere to be found. Kimchi, he hasn't got flash, he hasn't got Spirit Rush. I don't know why he backed into that pit. It was just for funsies, I guess. Maybe he wanted to try to climb the tree, but Ari, you are a fox. Foxes cannot climb. I don't actually know if foxes can climb trees. I just know that they say ow when they die. And Justin Kimchi going down over to the farmers fighting. That is going to bring them to 6-4. But the 2 dragons and 2 turrets for CSU Super Team keeps them at a solid 2,200 gold advantage. Again, it's 20 minutes in, 2,200 in favor of the CSU Super Team. They are doing some really, really solid objective control. I mentioned that this was the sort of style that we usually see come out of farmers fighting in their last best of 1 against the Super Cats. The farmers fighting, they didn't have very powerful team fights. Their rotations were just a little bit less snappy than the Super Cats, which allowed them to win fights. The Super Cats, that is. But the fact that they had complete and total objective control allowed farmers fighting to increase their gold advantage step by step by step. In this game, it's the complete opposite. It's Super Team with the very solid objective control and their gold advantage just increasing more and more. We have a Dark Binding finally on Amun-Ra, but there isn't going to be a follow-up. This is now 20 minutes in, almost right on the dot as everyone's grouping up for the first time. This could be the first 5-man snipe, and oh man, look at that. Justin Kimchi caught in the light binding. He's gonna walk away with his life now. The dragon has respawned. If there's a successful amount of poke, then oh, Justin Kimchi caught again. He's going to be forced to use the Spirit Rush out of there with that on cooldown. He's gonna back away. Song's looking for a kill on Amun-Ra, misses the culling, but it doesn't quite matter as Justin Kimchi without that Spirit Rush is not gonna be able to contest the dragon with the rest of his team, and both of the teams know it. We instantly have the collapse coming down from farmers fighting to try to take that dragon. It will be traded for that mid-tier 1 turret, a 1-for-1 trade, and it looks like they're going for the tier 2. Master Yi needs to make up his mind, join up with the rest of his team because he's going to be their damage powerhouse along with Songs. Drops the Highlander, he is going to bring the turret down. They're going to be forced to retreat out of the pit, and this is a fight that farmers fighting want. If they can catch the enemy team while they're retreating, they're going to be feeling so great, but it isn't going to happen. Instead, farmers fighting are going to siege up in the mid lane. A ping coming out from Super Team. They know they have to defend it, but with Amun-Ra on the recall, I don't know that they're going to be able to make it in time. And they actually take the long way around, and they make it to the turret. Farmers fighting, they've not secured a single turret. They've got a wave pushing in the top lane, but that turret looking pretty healthy. Rise is on his way to help defend. We could very well see Emily Von Comp siege this one in this mid lane. Though there is some pretty solid wave clear from that Ari. Smite being dropped as well. Death Sentence finds Kimchi. He has flash. He is able to use that to escape. Unstoppable force and Lucent Singularity goes down. Crowstorm dropping out tons of damage. She-Man Link drops the Zonias to drop turret aggro. This is 247 taking it. He is going to fall Turpin with a huge meditate. Looking like he might turn this around. Another meditate. This is a dark passage. Is going to force Emily Von Comp to back away. No one has died as Nestle. He hasn't got the desperate power, but looks like he's going to get the desperate kill. Just kidding. The heal allows Von Comp to escape with his life. Red buff keeping him up. That was 2 for none as 247 and G-Man Links went 2 turrets deep and they weren't able to secure any kills. That Zanya's Hourglass working against G-Man Links there. He got low. He was going for the lifesteal, but the moment he Zanya's, it juggled onto 247, who was soaking the damage from the enemy team. So you don't want to have your main tank, who didn't have any armor over the course of that fight, to be juggling all of the damage from a super crazy Master Yi, a Ari who's at 1, 1, and 2, and a Master Lucian, yes, a Lucian who's got a completed Bloodthirster. In addition to the turret, it just didn't work out for 247's favor. And now we do see that it is manifesting itself in a 4,000 gold lead in favor of the Super Team. Just a few minutes ago, 3 minutes ago I think to be exact, it was only a 2,000 gold lead. That gold difference is really only made up in turrets, as that dragon went over to farmers fighting. That is going to bring them to 1 to 2 for the dragons, 1 for the farmers fighting, 1 for Super Team. But the fact that they are losing out on turrets now, 2 to 4, is going to be pretty painful. It's I'm doing some math here, which is definitely not something that I recommend while trying to talk about a game at the same time. 2,000 gold for each of the turrets, another 2,000 gold for each of the dragons. That brings it to about 4,000 gold. But they're starting to pull this little 500 advantage out as well. I don't know if that's going to be the CS from Malphite and Master Yi, but it just might be, as that Rise, he's got a solid 44 CS lead over his lane opponent. Master Yi, he's sitting about 20 CS ahead, so that comes out to maybe 60 CS times 20 gold is... Oh man, this is numbers that I shouldn't be playing with. 10, 600, yeah, about 500, 600 gold, considering that some of those are jungle camps as well. So just a little bit of an advantage building up on that Rise and that Master Yi. Now Rise, he's added a Brutalizer and Merc Treads to his build, and he's done it. He's made it. Rise, he may as well not build another Rise. Master Yi may as well not build another item for the rest of the game. He's got the Blade of the Ruined King, he's got the Feral Flare, and he's got the tenacity to soak damage from G-Man Lynx's Horrify. He has Meditate, he's got insane cooldowns, and he's got damage out the wazoo. Rise is gonna... Rise, I keep saying Rise. Master Yi is an absolute monster, and unless he becomes the appropriate focus for team farmers fighting, then they're going to be in a pretty tough situation as we get later into team fights. Currently looking at Derpent, he's able to solo this turret in the bot lane. He might be able to bring it down before Emily Von Kamp can even make it there. And look at this, he's just going to town on it, going to be forced to back away, but that's the Brutalizer in action, plus the attack speed on that Blade of the Ruined King. He's currently sitting at about 18 stacks on that Blade of the Ruined King, which brings his total damage on hit to plus 51, plus his attack damage, plus the percent health damage from that Blade of the Ruined King. I believe it is, oh, let's find out. 15, oh no, that's not the one. 5% of the target's current health, which is absolutely absurd. A quick blue steal coming out from Nestle. It's not going to be successful as Amon-Ra gets a decent final spark. Finalis Funkin, for those of you who joined before Season 3. And while that is going to mean that Lux has blue, she does have the completed Void Staff and Athene's Unholy Grail. Not a lot of cooldown reduction just yet. She's going to be relying on her blue, but she's doing a pretty solid job compared to the Ahri. She's sitting about 30 CS ahead, about even in gold, actually only 20 gold ahead. So that's just the power of the objectives. Despite being 30 CS ahead, Ahri is able to make up for that by the global objectives on the map. Now, taking a look at Ahri's build, she's got the completed Athenes, opting for an Abyssal Scepter as well. Now, that Abyssal Scepter, it's a little bit odd on Ahri. It's normally a third or fourth item that you would see, but the fact that she's picking up this Abyssal Scepter so early means she's really terrified of getting obliterated before being able to get off her combo. And that's something we've seen time and time again from farmers fighting. It seems as though every fight, they manage to find Ahri out of position, force the Spirit Rush early, and with that Spirit Rush on cooldown, farmers fighting then decide to collapse onto another objective. And now that the dragon is going to spawn, this is Justin Kimchi's chance to redeem himself. It's going to spawn in about 1 second. Master Yi is in position. Nestle going to be in that bottom lane, so he might decide to flank for the river, and it looks like they're going to collapse onto the Dragon Pit. This is going to be CSU Super Team looking for the steal as Peterino coming around from the side. Nestle has joined up with the rest of his team. Forgive me, I suck. Manages to find the light binding. Death Sentence onto Pasongs, pulls him out of the final start. He walks away with his life. No steal for Super Team, but it doesn't matter as Amon-Ra and Emily Von Kamp are going to be the focus of Derpent. Derpent makes it out. Yi obliterated from the map, but G-Man Lynx traded as well. Ace in the hole onto Peterino. He's going to be forced to flash out of this, and there is no final spark just yet as it's still on cooldown. Loosen Singularity finds Justin Kimchi, but the heal stacking is so strong. Emily Von Kamp is getting dangerously low. The heals and shields are keeping him alive, and a light binding forces the disengage. Kimchi steps on a trap as well. He had his flash, but he's not going to be able to pursue with that Yordle snap trap. I didn't know that Ahri was considered a Yordle because she totally fell for that cupcake. And a little bit of a siege coming on from Super Team, but they're not going to be successful. That was 2 kills for 1 and a dragon for farmers fighting. Actually, they got 1 kill and the dragon, whereas 2 kills. Oh man, a huge final spark coming across the map. It's not going to be enough to save the turret. Master Yi did too much. It was a crumbling marble statue, and unfortunately that is going to mean his life. And Nestle teleporting in the top lane. He is still defending that top turret. It's actually only at about 500 health, which is 2 or 3, maybe 4 auto attacks from Emily Von Kamp. But no AD outside of Emily Von Kamp means that if it's not Von Kamp herself bringing that turret down, it's probably not going to fall for a while. In 4.5, we saw the buffs to the teleport, reducing the cooldown by 30 seconds. by 30 seconds. By 30 seconds or possibly a minute. I'm not entirely certain. By 100 seconds. Holy wow. That's actually pretty OP. Riot, please. I'm still just used to Earth mode where it was 40 seconds and you use that on turrets and then be everywhere at once. You die and then instantly teleport back into lane. Anyways, I'm neither here nor there. The fact that turret is still standing, that's a lot of gold that could be picked up by farmers fighting, but they're not contesting. They're continuing to skirmish with Super Team. And Super Team's doing a good job of denying them. Oh man, the Talisman Ascension goes down. Ace in the hole finds Speed around. He drops the Soul Shackles. Are they going to be able to find the kill? Death Sentence pulls him back, but Soul Shackles locks down any additional damage. Yes, G-Man Link secures it, but at what cost? As he's forced to back away with 247. Amon-Ra forcing the flash now. Dusty Kimchi going deep onto Forgive Me I Suck. Justin uses the Spear Rush to escape the box, denying some chase. Kimchi flanking around this from the side. He finds one. Is he finding two? He is. G-Man Link with the Crow Storm mopping up, but oh man, that Master Yi is still alive. Same thing with that Ahri. Flash Light Binding misses from Amon-Ra. He gets the Lucent Singularity auto attack, secures the shutdown goal, but here's Master Yi mopping up the rest of the fight. He's looking for Amon-Ra. If he can dodge the Light Binding, he's gonna get the kill, but he doesn't get it instead. Just going for the extra tenacity from that Meditate and stops chasing. Now the reason that fight went so well for farmers fighting was because Derpent wasn't there. He only engaged on the last two members, and they find the Light Binding. They're going to try to get this kill on Derpent. I don't know if they have the damage. Alpha Strike brings him onto Amon-Ra. Look at how low he's bringing that Lux. He gets one. He's now turning on to 247. Banshee soaking the Alpha Strike, but Derpent is a monster. He does 24. That's 54 bonus damage, plus 5% of current health. Random is going for the slow, but Red Buff is ticking down. The 247 could not make up his mind. Do I go for the lane? Do I go for the jungle? He opted for the jungle, and he went down. Derpent saying in chat, ban it. It's now 31 minutes into the game, a 5,000 gold lead in favor of the Super Team, but they have got such dominant objective control. They've been securing their 2 for 2 in Dragons, but it looks like they're about to go 0 for 1 in Barons as they're collapsing onto the pit. Meanwhile, a 247 and Amon-Ra are not in position to contest this. They're trying to make a beeline for the pit, but they're not going to make it in time. It goes down, and with that Derpent, with Baron buff, he's currently sitting at 265 attack damage. Just for fun, let's look at his attack speed. That's 1.39 without the Highlander activated. That is absolutely absurd from Master Yi. He can shred through his targets so very quickly. It's just becoming more and more difficult for farmers fighting to get back into this game. I mentioned they have got both team fights and objective control. And while farmers fighting, they've been putting up some really solid picks. The fact that they're allowing Super Team to dictate the pace of the game means that Super Team is getting assassination after assassination. Nearly every fight that's happened has been in favor of the Super Team. The farmers fighting, whenever they get the picks, they found Morgana, they found Feederino, were able to secure a pretty solid fight, but once Derpent joined, it just didn't go very well after that point. They have to continue looking for picks. They've got good vision on the map, they've got really solid contention potential, I suppose, the ability to challenge Super Team for objectives, but the fact that they're starting to give up these turrets, the Dragon and the Baron, so easily means that they're going to have a really, really difficult time bringing themselves back into this as the global gold continues to slip more and more in favor of Super Team. And oh man, 247 getting caught out a little bit in the jungle. Banshee's Veil soaks the Dark Binding, but a charm from Ahri brings him down. If that's not going to be Morgana locking him down, that is going to be the Ahri. Frost Queen's Claim just for fun. Not going to be able to secure anything on Malphite. As the turret now being pressured, but in the meanwhile, Derpent in that bottom lane. Fiddle using the Crow Storm over the wall. He's going to jump onto Derpent, drops the Horrify. Instantly, Derpent decides to go deep. G-Man Lynx brought down to 300 health with an Alpha Strike and one auto attack from Derpent. He didn't even use, oh, he did use both the Yomus and Blade of the Ruined King. Meanwhile, seeing that Fiddle's in the bottom lane, the siege continues unabated in that top lane. And this could be the turret going down. It is a successful siege as that falls. Justin Kimchi goes deep. He's looking for Emily Von Komp. Charm brings him back in, but he is able to secure the kill with Spirit Fire. 247 doesn't have the follow-up from that Caitlyn, which means he is going to fall despite that absurd amount of armor. He's currently sitting at, oh my goodness, camera, stop doing that. 156 armor and 147 magic resist, but that is not enough against Super Team. He's 10,000 gold behind. Death Sentence going to find Nestle, but that Death Sentence is really just more of a verbal threat than an actual death sentence as given by a jury. Nestle says, what are you going to do about it? And Thresh says, well, nothing, and just lets him take the inhibitor. Dark Binding gonna find G-Man Lynx. He's looking for the Crow Storm over the wall, but Charm locks him down. Amon-Ra finding Fiorino and Kimchi is not gonna be able to secure the kill with his AoE. Nestle going ham with Durpin, just continuing to bully people down as the rest of his team collapse onto him. Nestle taking a few turret hits. He's going to be able to escape. It's just getting here's 247. The rest of the team are collapsing onto him, but at what cost? As this is an inhibitor siege in the mid lane, now being started out by the Baroned up Super Team. They've secured 2 turrets, 1 inhibitor, multiple kills, bringing them to an 11,000 gold lead over Farmers Fighting. And they still have got Baron buff on Durpin, who is now level 18, 35 minutes in, with 26 stacks on that Feral Flare. And look at this! They're even securing the Dragon. Absolutely no chance for Farmers Fighting. They're not giving any chance to Farmers Fighting to get back into this. As the Super Team, they're just putting pressure in the right place. They're keeping Farmers Fighting from taking just about anything. Rise with that teleport in the top lane is just such a nuisance. Even that tiny moral victory of taking that tier 1 turret has been denied to AA247. He's got the Home Guard, Merc Treads, Randuins, and Banshees, but that's about all he's got. He has to start engaging with his team. We've seen him get some pretty solid unstoppable forces, but if he doesn't get the follow-up from Caitlyn and Fiddle and Amon-Ra, then he just gets blown up immediately. Durpin is a monster. I feel as though if Durpin makes it through the picks and ban phase for the next game, then that is just not going to be a position that Farmers Fighting want to allow happen. Either that or allow it to go through bans and try to steal it up for G-Man Lynx. But again, there's so many other Feral Flare junglers. Durpin, he seems pretty confident on those auto attack based champions, so I'd expect to see him on something like Xin Shao or Lee Sin, somebody who can trade really powerfully with the Feral Flare. And I didn't even notice this, but the bottom inhibitor turret and inhibitor during all of that action was taken down as well. So that's actually 2 inhibitors gone. Only 1 inhibitor turret and inhibitor remaining for Farmers Fighting. And oh man, Crowstorm finds Fiorino. He's going to be forced to flash out of this. Dark Binding denies the chase. Ace in the hole goes down. Unstoppable Force misses. Fiorino is being chased. Randuins goes down. He's pulled back into the enemy team. Exhaust denies him. He gets a stun on 247, but the rest of the team are sieging. Oh man, Final Spark goes down as Durpin looking for 1 kill on Amon-Ra. He's not going to find it, but it doesn't matter as the last inhibitor has fallen. That's 3 inhibitors gone. Double super minions going to be spawning from the enemy base, plus Super Minions now streaming in to try to bring down the Nexus. Songs has got the damage. Same thing with Durpin, and without G-Man Lynx's AoE Crowstorm, they're not going to be able to defend this. Emily Von Kamp caught in the charm. Durpin bullying away 247. This is the rest of Super Team just stalling out while Songs goes ham on the Nexus itself. It is going to go down. CSU Long Beach's Super Team takes game number 1 from Farmers Fighting. Now, this is normally the part where I would pass it off to my co-caster and say, oh, what do you think about this, that, and the other? But I'm sure you guys have heard me talk more than enough for the past 45 minutes. So thank you guys so much for listening. My name is Dom Caster Seda Roamer. If you like the casting, feel free to give me a follow at Twitter at Caster Seda. Again, we're going to go ahead and set the lobby up for game number 2 and see if the Farmers Fighting have got the skills to bring it back in game number 2. Thank you guys, and we will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to erectronics.com League of Legends 2014 Spring Tournament. I'm trying to think of how many other misnomers I can add into the title of that, but that is just going to be it. This is going to be the SoCal Spring 2014 semifinals. We're now entering game number 2 between Farmers Fighting and CSU Long Beach's Super Team. We just saw game number 1 go over to CSU's Super Team in a rather entertaining match. It lasted about 38 minutes. Derpent in the jungle for CSU's Super Team played a monster Master Yi. He ended up getting the Wriggles Lantern by, I think, 7.5 minutes, completed the Feral Flare by 12 or 13 minutes, and by the end of the game, he was shredding through the health bars of his opponents. He had the Blade of the Ruined King, the Yomus, and I think he was building into a Ravenous Hydra afterwards just because he can. At that point, it's just absolutely terrifying what Master Yi can do. So now we are entering game number 2, and instantly the first thing we see banned out from Farmers Fighting on the purple team is going to be Derpent's Master Yi. They do not want that back on the board. Considering how effective it was in the first game, there is no way they're going to let that go through the ban phase. On the other hand, we do see standard bans coming out from just about everybody else. Xin Xiao, also a very powerful jungler who scales really well with the Feral Flare. Kha'Zix as well, another assassin that sort of fits Derpent's playstyle. Vi and Nocturne, that's going to be 5 jungle bans, and Jace. I think that the Jace is going to be a targeted ban coming out of Farmers Fighting. That would be G-Man Lynx playing that. I have not seen his match history lately. I don't know if that's something that he's familiar with or comfortable with, but the fact that it's been banned not once but now twice makes me think it's targeted. So we'll have to see what the Farmers Fighting have got up their sleeve by pulling out 2 jungle bans and a Jace ban. 247, he was in the top lane in the last game playing a top Malphite. He was sufficiently tanky when dealing with Nestle on that rise, but into the late game, he just didn't do too effectively. He did nice unstoppable forces. He got the Randuins for follow-up, but the fact that he didn't have anybody following him up when he dropped the unstoppable force meant that he usually died rather quickly despite his natural tanky stats. And we do see a couple of quick pickups. It's going to be Please No Fiorino on Thresh this time. He was on that Morgana in the previous game where he landed Soul Shackles for days. That flash Soul Shackle securing a quick kill in the bottom lane was awesome. And this time he's going to be on Thresh. I suppose Thresh does have as much possibility to make plays. He's got the Flay bonus damage and movement. He can do the box, Death Sentence, Dark Passage shenanigans. Though he will be up against Forgive Me I Suck on Morgana. Hopefully Forgive Me I Suck won't do too terribly, won't suck. We won't have to forgive him too much on his Morgana in this game, as he's going to be going up against Songs and Fiorino. Looks like it is going to be Lucian Thresh, as Justin hovering over that Lucian. And it's always kind of interesting how, according to the lore, Thresh and Lucian, well, I guess Lucian hates Thresh. Thresh just kind of had a moderate dislike towards Lucian at best. But they end up working so well as a lane combination because of their skill sets. They just synergize rather effectively. If Thresh lands the Death Sentence, there is huge follow-up potential from Lucian. He can toss out enormous amounts of he's going to be birthing his champion down to eliminate that Emily Von Comp on Vayne, and Forgive Me I Suck on Morgana. Now we saw Emily Von Comp on Vayne yesterday, and I don't recall if he ended up getting the quadra kill. I've been seeing a lot of Vaynes recently. She's making a bit of a comeback just because of how people are starting to focus more on scaling into the late game, getting those hyper carries on the board rather than trying to end it in the mid game. So we're seeing longer games like the one we saw just now. That was 38 minutes. I expect this is the sort of style that Farmers Fighting are comfortable with. That's going to be in a nice long passive lane phase where everybody gets their core items and more transition into team fights after that. So that's going to be the Vayne Morgana. Now, theoretically, that doesn't synergize too well The Dark Binding has to catch someone close to a wall for Emily Von Comp to follow up with the Tumble Condemn, though I think Forgive Me I Suck should be able to toss those out and find his targets. On the other hand, Emily Von Comp on Vayne, she's not going to be able to make too many plays unless she gets an unexpected Tumble, Flash, Condemn. There isn't a lot of survivability from Songs and Feederino on that Lucian Thresh. The only real protection is going to come out of the Dark Passage from Please No Feederino. We'll have to keep an eye on how effectively he decides to use that, as right now Feederino is looking at taking the Exhaust, whereas Forgive Me I Suck and Emily Von Comp looking at the double heal. Now, the double heal, if you haven't seen it before, is really effective more as a surprise factor. The fact that you can bring a target from 100 health all the way up to 500, 600 health in the span of less than a second if you stagger those out correctly is just really, really crazy. One moment you're about to kill your target, the next moment your target has twice as much health as you and is suddenly turning around. It was just a bait all along. And against a Vayne and a Morgana, that's not something that you want. Vayne is excellent at chasing down champions, though there is, again, the Dark Passage from Please No Feederino. Interestingly enough, however, Derpent going to be taking the Evelynn. Now, we've seen a lot of Meteos Evelynn in the LCS. He likes to go for that sort of, I guess, rely on the outside of team fights, and he plays a very team-oriented Evelynn. He doesn't go for pure assassination. He likes to group up with the rest of Cloud9, drop the Agony's Embrace for maximum shield, and just walk into the enemy team soaking damage. I think that could work rather effectively, though he is going to be in the face of a lot of CC. There's the Condemn, the Dark Binding, Command Shockwave, Infinite Duress, Cull of the Meek. Though he does do pretty solid damage, and he shouldn't be a priority target if Justin Kimchi can play his Syndra well. Same thing with Songs on Lucian if they can scale well into the mid and late game. We'll have to keep an eye on what he decides to go for on that Evelynn. Seeing how passive farming and then into, I guess, split pushing in the first game he was on that Master Yi, I expect to see him just spend a lot of time in the jungle being invisible and annoying. He may decide to change up his playstyle and go really gank heavy. That could be very effective against a team such as the one we're seeing from Farmers Fighting. There isn't a lot of survivability from Morgana early on. There is mobility on that top lane in Renekton, but in the bottom lane, it is going to be a little bit difficult for Forgive Me I Suck and Emily Von Comp to escape if they ever find themselves overextended and subject to a gank from Derpent. He could also decide to go counter jungle AA247. That could work out rather effectively, as Warwick, before level 6, he has a little bit of difficulty trading effectively. He's got some very solid lifesteal, some very solid sustain, but the area where that shines is going to be long, sustained team fights. The longer the fight goes on, the better 247 is going to do, just because he can bring his health up that much more over time. He's up against Justin Kimchi, who has got the Scat of the Week for Burst. That's going to deny the Infinite Duress. There isn't too much hard CC outside of that. The Flay and the Death Sentence maybe from Thresh. But if he sees those spells used prematurely, AA247 can toss an Infinite Duress onto a squishy team member of Team Super Team and hopefully remove them from the fight. Though 247, I'm curious to see what he's going to go for in this game. He was in the top lane last time. As Malphite, he went nice and tanky. I'm wondering if he's going to do that again on that Warwick, or if he decides to go for more damage, pick up an early Wit's End, possibly try to get some ability power to really bring targets down with his swipe. I'm unsure. There isn't a really tanky member for CSU's super team. They've got the Evelynn, who can soak a little bit of damage. I believe that was Olaf as well, but you don't really need to worry too much about Olaf in team fights. He's going to drop his Ragnarok, make a beeline for your carry. And if your carry just turns around and runs away, then there's really not that much to be concerned about, especially if that's going to be a Vayne. She just tumbles, runs away. Unfortunately, Condemn is not going to knock away Olaf once he drops that Ragnarok. Dark Binding and Soul Shackles are also not going to be a problem, so He's taken the Ghost too, and he would also not be affected by the exhaust. So I guess if Olaf does find his way to the back line, finds his way to Amon-Ra or Emily von Kamp, then that's going to be pretty bad for Farmers Fighting, though I expect that at this level of play, they're confident enough to delay their CC until after they see the Ragnarok used, though it could definitely go either way. As far as pure team fight compositions go, I am going to have to give this to Farmers Fighting. There's a lot of burst coming out from Team Super Team. They've got Syndra, Lucian, Evelyn, and Olaf with just the true damage. But on the other hand, they're up against a Morgana, Orianna, and Vayne. Vayne, the ultimate late game hyper carry. Once she gets that Blade of the Ruined King, she just treads down so quickly. It's thunk, 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 hashtag double lift, plays for days. Orianna, of course, scales very well with ability power. I don't know who scales better, faster, Syndra or Orianna. They're both about the same, though Syndra can toss out a little bit better burst with her, I guess it's power overwhelming. No, unleashed power. I always think it's power overwhelming, and it never is, which is really disappointing because that is a StarCraft reference that I really want to see in this game. Though Amon-Ra does provide a little bit more utility with the Command Protect and the Command Dissonance. And oh, look at this. A really quick 5-man group coming out from Farmers Fighting. I think that they were spotted out. G-Man Lynx is going to find Nestle, who's just going to be juggling those invisible axes. Tormented Slayer going around. Evelyn scouting around the bush for Team CSU Long Beach, who are grouping up to counter Emily von Kamp at 247. Going to find Forgiving Me Sunk in the Dragon Pit. This is not the place Morgana wants to be. A quick flash gets her out of there. Death Sense is going to miss too. Nestle taking the early undertow, finds 3 members, but a quick Command Dissonance allows Amon-Ra to escape, and this is actually not working out too well for Farmers Fighting. That early aggression put them behind, forcing the Command Dissonance from Amon-Ra. That's usually a spell you don't take until level 3 on Orianna. It means that she's not going to be able to use her ball to attack early on. She's going to have to rely entirely on auto attacks, and Justin Kim Chi, starting off with the early Dark Sphere, will have a significantly easier time farming and poking out Orianna, as she can cast that Dark Sphere while moving at the same time, which makes it a little bit difficult to predict where it goes. While Amon-Ra has got mobility with that Command Dissonance, there should be no problem allowing him to escape. Well, look at this. Evelyn going for the invade. Derpent taking the quick hate spike, gonna be going for a quick red seal. There's no leash. I think that they should recognize, they being Farmers Fighting, recognize that something is amiss, as everyone was in their lane instantaneously, including the bottom lane from Songs and Fiorina. Though it will be a little interesting to see how they respond. And already we can see Justin Kimchi bullying Amon-Ra out with auto attacks. He's taking a few himself. It's going to be double heal on both of those mid laners, of course, in 4.5. It is incredibly popular. No counter gank from Evelyn means that Amon-Ra is going to be just fine. But that counter gank is going to deny Warwick super hard early on. The fact that he's not going to be able to farm up a lot of health is going to end up hurting him very quickly, as he definitely relies on that experience to rush that infinite duress. And whoa, Death Sentence finds Forgiving Me. A quick level 2 brings him back. One heal is used to pull him back in. He's solo. The flash from Songs goes down, but exhausted as the auto attack. A turret goes down. Heal brings him low. Emily von Kamp with the flash going for Chase. Flame keeps him alive. Songs is going to escape with his life, but now Fiorino is going to. And wow, Summoner Spell traded for Summoner Spell. Derpin looking for a gank in the top lane. He's going to find G-Man Link's hate spike goes down. He is obliterated as Derpin secures first blood on that Evelyn. It is only going to be 300 gold, but that only 300 gold puts him 2 buffs over Warwick and 1 kill ahead of his jungle opponent. So very powerful play coming out from CSU Super Team, already bringing them to a 600 gold advantage 3.5 minutes in. Nestle, I think he took a turret hit there. I don't know if that was on purpose, but I guess he was just juggling aggro a little bit poorly. Now we do have Warwick rotating towards the top to try to catch up on a little bit of that CS, but the fact that that kill ended up going on to Evelyn makes me think she's going to be going for the assassin style Evelyn, and that is really, really terrifying. Yes, there is a lot of utility coming out from Farmers Fighting, but they're going to be up once again against Syndra, who's going to press 1A, 2A, 3A to remove a target from the map, and Evelyn, who's going to be pressing 1A, 2A, A, 3A to remove another target from the map. And yes, those are StarCraft references. For those of you who get it, I am calling CSU Super Team Protoss because I think that they are just doing 1A, and they're actually doing a pretty solid job of it. If I had to give them a build in StarCraft, I would say it's an Immortal Rush. But oh man, a little bit of a gank going on in the bottom lane. Fiorino trying to bait them out. Here comes Evelyn, dropping a bit of mobility to catch up with Forgive Me I Suck. Spell Shield once again is not enough. This song going down. Flame pulls Emily Von Comp back despite the tumble. Turpin with the flash dive secures another kill. That's 2-0-1 on Evelyn's songs at 1-0-1. A quick 3-0 advantage in favor of CSU Super Team. It's 5 minutes in. They're 1,500 gold ahead of the enemy team. That's 300 gold per minute in favor of CSU Super Team. Now Nestle, he's starting to bully out that G-Man Lynx in the top lane due to that early second Doran's Blade, and in the mid lane we've already seen Justin Kimchi bully away Amon-Ra because he was forced to start with that dissonance. If the bottom lane for Farmers Fighting find themselves losing too, then the only thing that will be going for Farmers Fighting, I guess they don't even have anything, because it was the same thing with AA247. He was also invaded early on. He's a level down Evelyn. He's, oh my goodness, it's 5 minutes in and a completed Spirit of the Elder Lizard on Evelyn. Durpin is a monster at 111 AD with 36 AP. He's just going to do some major work. Amon-Ra with the early roam into the top lane. G-Man Lynx trying to bait him out. Going to take a reckless swing. Amon-Ra gets a good command dissonance. Ghost is dropped for Nestle, allowing him to escape, but he could turn around with the undertow. Trying to get a kill on G-Man Lynx. A powerful play from Amon-Ra, knowing that he can't shove in the mid lane because of Evelyn. He can't farm in the mid lane because of Syndra, so I'm going to roam up towards the top lane and try to secure something. A Dark Binding finds Fiorino, but once again, Evelyn coming in for the gank. I think that they're going to see it coming. Yes, they do have a pink as Fiorino clears that. He's just going to walk out of there. I really want to see him just turn around and go for another gank to continue trying to snowball it, but it looks like he's going to make it away. There was actually a ward in that tri-bush, so they spotted him walking away. They know they're going to be safe in that bottom lane, but oh, look at this. Just kidding. We do have another gank coming out from Evelyn. Let's see if Fiorino goes for the Death Sentence Dark Passage as Durpin is going to be walking up towards the lane. Death Sentence finds Forgive Me I Suck. He's pulled back once again. Agony's Embrace from Durpin. He's already level 6, slowing down Forgive Me I Suck. Flash is burned. I don't know if this is a dive that they want. Fiorino going ham, but once again, burning the Flash. Dark Binding is going to miss, but Durpin is so strong. Once again, ganking in the bottom lane, burning up the Flash from Forgive Me I Suck, and the heal too. It is not going well for Farmers Fighting as they're starting to fall further behind. It was 1,500 gold. It is now 1,800 gold as G-Man Lynx, he's keeping up in farm with Nestle, but in that mid lane, oh, well, I guess it's fairly even in CS across the board. 38 to 37, 30 to 30, and 47 to 43, with it being even in that bottom lane. What's really helping out Farmers Fighting is going to be that really early Spell Thief's Edge. It's given a quick 180 gold over to Forgive Me I Suck on Morgana. He doesn't have the Frost Fang, but he doesn't quite need it yet as he's going for the Ruby Crystal. Death Sentence finds Emily Von Comp. A quick Black Shield keeps him at pretty decent health, and he's going to walk away from this. Again, we're just seeing the bullying potential coming out of Team Super Team. They know they've got an early advantage, and look at that. They increased their 1,500 gold lead to a solid 2,000 gold lead now as they are continuing to put some crazy bully pressure onto Farmers Fighting. Syndra getting that blue buff. She has got the early Fiendish Codex as well. That's just showing the communication from Super Team. They know that Justin Kimchi, he recalled, he was like, hey, can I get second blue so I can build more damage and continue to bully out Orianna? And Evelyn said yes, but only if I can gank. In the top lane, Ignite goes down. Dominus being dropped on G-Man Lynx. A quick command to protect and heal keeps him alive. He's recalling on top of a ward. Looks like he's going to escape with his life. Amon-Ra with the counter gank, actually only going for the survivability on G-Man Lynx. Farmers Fighting, they're continuing to try to keep themselves into this, but they are having one hell of a time doing it. 247. He looks like he's actually going for the Wriggles Lantern. Let's see if he gets the Infinite Duress onto Kimchi, but in Scat of the Week says no to Warwick. Swiper, no swiping, I think. I never watched the show, but I understand that's a thing that they say. They also say hola. I don't know Spanish. Dora, that was the show. That's the one that I'm thinking of. It's now 2,100 gold. About 2,100 gold in favor of Super Team. They're about even in all of their lanes. But the thing that's really snowballing the game for them has been Derpent on Evelynn. That super early invade allowed her to become really, really powerful. Whoa, Justin Kimchi going in some great positioning, trying to force the split out of Amon-Ra. He's going to make it out of the wall despite the infinite duress. What a powerful play out of Kimchi. He's going to be counter-ganked by G-Man Lynx, who gets a good call of the Meek, and I think he should be able to secure this kill. He does finally get it, not going to give it to 247 or Amon-Ra. Really, really solid, just tactical play there. He tucked himself into the pit, so if Warwick wanted to follow up, he would have to make it over the wall, which he went around, and then the moment Warwick was around the corner, he turned onto Orianna because he can 1v1 that Orianna, and in the time, Warwick had to walk around the pit. He tried to contest it. Meanwhile, looks like this dragon is going to go in favor of Farmers Fighting. They have now secured 1 kill and 1 dragon, which is going to close the gold gap to only 1,000 gold in favor of the Super Team. Farmers Fighting, they are not out of this just yet. They are certainly farming their way back into this match. We have the Wriggles finally completed on 247. He's going to have to farm those stacks on the large monsters in the bottom lane. CS continuing to grow on Emily Von Comp and Songs. They're just about even, as Emily Von Comp is actually a little bit ahead. Again, that's 101 on Lucian to the 0-1-0 of Vayne. A little bit of an experience advantage for Songs, as he did get level 7 first, and that's going to manifest itself in a level 2 culling first. Whoa, G-Man Lynx going hard onto Nestle. Gotta watch for the reckless swing. Nestle, he's actually maxing out that reckless swing first, and the undertow second. The fact that he's not bringing in the regeneration means he's going to be going for just pure burst damage onto the enemy team. His Ragnarok gives him a ton of AD, armor, and MR, and actually reduces his armor and MR, which means his reckless swing is going to do more damage, his undertow is going to do more damage, and he's got a Bilgewater Cutlass on top of that. So that is just a very, very scary Olaf. It's not going to be the tanky, oh, this is an Olaf we can ignore. It's going to be, oh crap, this is a monster truck about to run me over, and for some reason it's playing death metal and swinging drumsticks in the air. I never understood why Olaf would be the drummer of that band. I really always expected Olaf to be more of like a singer, like one of those like crazy Nordic holler, like he just yells all the time. But I don't know. That's just random caster speculation. It makes sense though, and funnily enough, when he does use the reckless swing and secure a kill, I think it makes the exact same sound as a cymbal. So in the drums. But we'll have to see, as we have 247 coming in for a gank, but so too does Derpent and Kimchi. G-Man Lynx is removed from the map. 247 uses the infinite duress to teleport under the turret, but it is not enough. Double kill secured for Super Team, and Amon-Ra on the counter rotation. He's looking to try to make anything happen, but he cannot contest the early power from Super Team. They have now brought it back to a quick 2,000 gold lead, now 2,500 gold lead. Wait, I can do math. That's 3,000, which puts them pretty solid right now. They're feeling really great. They've got the first turret of the game. They're looking for turret number 2 as they also siege that tier 2 with Nestle and Derpent. They're winning in a lot of lanes. Kimchi getting engaged upon by Amon-Ra, but the early Chalice of Harmony fortunately does not have ability. And Amon-Ra, he's looking to get the kill. Command attack finds it. Amon-Ra with a quick snipe secures a revenge kill. Fiorino engaging on the Forgive Me I Suck. Soul Shackles goes down the box, finds Forgive Me I Suck, meaning he can't get the chase. Emily Von Comp, exhausted, is not going to have the energy to follow up on Song's Dark Binding. Is going to lock down Fiorino, but without his AD carry, Forgive Me I Suck has got nothing to do, nowhere to be but here. He's going to back his way under the turret. 247 once again securing the blue. That's the second time he hasn't given it over to Amon-Ra. I expect to see Syndra get that blue buff once again, as she does now have Sork boots. Still no Chalice of Harmony. So it should be pretty interesting to see how Syndra does in that mid lane. She's got more ability power. She's going to have consistent mana regeneration and cooldown from the blue buff. Those are items that Amon-Ra had to purchase. If he had been given those by 247, he would be feeling a lot better, but the fact that he cannot get those is really starting to hurt him. And Unfortunately, we are entering a little bit of a lull, as everybody is just going back to farming, just taking their time and continuing to get those CS scores up. And you figure, Heba totally forgot how to word there. If you give me a sec, I'm going to drink a little bit of water because I've been talking for the past hour and a half, and I really would like to, you know, be able to breathe. And there's action going on as I'm drinking water. Amon Ra forced to flash over the wall. Please, no feeder. Reno flashes for the follow-up. Forgive me, I saw it coming around from the side, but Song's getting caught in the command shockwave. He's actually pulled back into that Orianna and is removed from the map. That is so unfortunate for him. Such a powerful escape he was at the enemy Wraith camp. Almost made it to his own turret before finally going down. That's going to be another again, the 3,000 gold lead in favor of CSU's super team. It's currently 7-2. A siege going on in the mid lane. G-Man Link's going on to Nestle. A huge scout of the week, stunning both 247 and G-Man Links. Justin Kimchi staggering turret aggro with Turpin, who are diving onto 247. That's a killing spree on that Evelyn. She's 3-0 right now. They're 16 minutes in, just an absolute powerhouse. Emily Von Kamp flashing out of the culling is going to survive by the skin of her teeth, or I guess the metal of her bolts if you want to get specific, but the fact that she survived is not that much solace. As Super Team, they're looking absolutely dominant in this game number 2. It's 9-2, 16 minutes in. Now a 5,500 gold lead for the Super Team. 3 turrets, that's all of the outer turrets gone. Derpent hasn't died. Olaf has not died. Songs hasn't died. The only person who's died for Super Team is actually going to be Justin Kimchi, the Syndra AP carry, who can remove someone from the map now that she's got the Deathfire Grasp as well as those Sork Boots. Now, we do have a collapse onto the Dragon coming out from Team Farmers Fighting. AA247 has got the Wriggles, so he does bonus damage. But again, Derpin not there, is on his way. A Death Sentence finds G-Man Links. 247 gets locked down. He is just destroyed by Kimchi. Nestle going ham. He's going to be taking a few hits here. Not dropping the Ragnarok just yet. G-Man Links looking for Song's Ignite, is going to find that one. Now moving on to Please No Feederino, but this is not a place he wants to be in. A Black Shield blocks the stun. Here's Derpin entering the fight, going on to Emily Von Kamp, who saves the final hour for Derpin. Exhaust is dropped as well. Does Derpin have the damage? He's going 1v3. He's looking for 1. He finds it. He's looking for 2. Is he going to find it? Yes. Nestle secures that one. Now Feederino forces away for Gubiasuk and Emily Von Kamp, and what was a powerful dragon attempt from Farmers Finding ends up into 3 kills and the dragon in favor of Super Team. It's 12-3, now a 7,000 gold lead, whereas 2 minutes ago it was 5. That's now a 7,000 gold lead. Again, all of the tier 1 turrets are gone, leaving the tier 2s up. Major core items have been completed for Super Team. The Deathfire Grasp, Blade of the Ruined King on Olaf, and the Bloodthirster on Lucian. And scarily enough, he's got a pickaxe on top of that. I don't know if he's going for the Infinity Edge just because, or if that is going to be a Last Whisper, but the fact that he's not going for a Triforce means he's going to get that next damage spike so much faster. And as long as he's continuing to scale like this, I don't think that Emily Von Kamp can keep up. She's level 8 right now, 18 minutes into the game with only the Bilgewater Cutlass and 2 daggers. And I still cannot believe that that is only the name of that item, providing 12% attack speed. With names like Bilgewater Cutlass, Blade of the Ruined King, Fiendish Codex, you have an item named Dagger. Riot's just thematic continuity is skewed with that item. I don't know what they were thinking when they wanted to do that. But the fact that she doesn't have a completed core item 18 minutes in is absolutely killing her damage. She's not able to get the assassinations we saw in the last fight. It was 3v1 on Derpin with Emily Von Kamp getting the total freedom to just attack after attack after attack. But Derpin, who wasn't even building tanky, soaked all of that damage. Infinite Duress, the dive coming out. Please no Feederino going to get locked down here. Emily Von Kamp secures that, but Songs sitting under the turret, looking like he's going to scare away 247. Here's Amun-Ra going to find Justin Kimchi, but Justin Kim secures the kill. Durpin getting a huge Agony's Embrace, turns now onto Amun-Ra. He's going to be able to find that kill with the red buff, getting one. Now moving on to two between Forgive Me I Suck. Soul Shackles is used. Will she be able to get the stun off before? No. Durpin now looking for Emily Von Comp. Condemn range is enormous as Durpin gets locked onto the wall. Heal gives movement speed. Durpin looking for it. Is he going to get the slow with the hate spike? Yes. Songs secure the kill. In the meanwhile, Forgive Me I Suck is sitting away from Justin Kimchi, and Ace comes down. Nestle split pushing in the top lane, looking like he's going to take that turret away before he goes down. Yes, an ace and a turret for CSU's super team. They're 10,000 gold ahead. They've stolen the blue. They've taken a tier 2 turret. It's 4 turrets to 0, and every dragon has gone over in favor of super team. They are an absolute powerhouse. 404 on Olaf, 5-0-7 on Evelyn, 4-1-3 on Lucian. These are numbers you don't want to see. Durpin on the recall is going to be spotted out by 247, but lack of an immediate reaction means he's going to make it back to the base, and those are the sort of things that are starting to hurt farmers fighting. They are so demoralized by the fact that they're so far behind in this game number 2. If they lose this, they are going to be disqualified from the match. They will drop down into the 3rd place bronze match and face off against Banana Peels. Please note Fiorino engaging onto Amun-Ra, missing both the Flay, the Death Sentence, and the Flash. Now finds himself locked down by the Infinite Dress. Shockwave gives over a free kill. That's got to feel at least a little bit good, but they know that they didn't secure that kill off of skill. And in the chat, Oriana says, juked, and Thresh says, mercy, I quit. Which is just kind of funny because Please No Fiorino gives over the 5th kill to Farmers Fighting, and despite the fact that it is now 5v4 for the Farmers, they are still going to play it defensive, continue to try to farm it up and play it out into the late game. I don't even know if they could survive that long in the late game. Oriana now getting engaged upon by Durpin in 2 hate spikes. She brings Amun-Ra down to nearly half health despite the command protect. Durpin is terrifying. He even has the Randuin's Omen without having to worry about the magic damage from Oriana. Oh man, I don't even know what happened there. With the Hex Drinker, that means that he can soak those magic damages, no problem. Again, Fiorino, he's juking out those death sentences to try to raise the morale of farmers fighting. I don't know that it's working too effectively as Durpin getting a Wraith Steal from 247. It's 21.5 minutes in, and the Feral Flare has just been completed from AA247. That's how hard he's been denied in his own jungle. Nestle split pushing in the top lane. He's got the components for Randuin's and Blade of the Ruined King, so he can trade effectively with G-Man links, but the rest of Super Team are split pushing in the other lanes. Looks like a 1-2-2. Durpin looking for the flank, is going to find Forgive Me I Suck. Dodges out Forgive Me I Suck's Dark Binding. 247 going to get locked down. A huge power overwhelming. Goes down. Justin Kimchi soaks the Infinite Duress. Survives. That's not power overwhelming. That's unleashed power. Durpin secures another kill, bringing him to 6-0-8. He's actually going to dive the turret. He has got armor and health with that Randuin's Omen. Can certainly bring it down. Nestle, he's been playing single player all game, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon, as it's working rather effectively. Keeping Renekton away from the rest of his team means that Team Farmers Fighting cannot group up or get a solid 5v5. Now Nestle going to be condemned against the wall here. He is sufficiently tanky. A lot of CC getting tossed out, but he was just a distraction. Songs secures the turret with Justin Kimchi, bringing it now to a 12,000 gold lead. 22.5 minutes into the game. That comes out to roughly 560 gold gained over the enemy team per minute. So Super Team is doing a really solid job. They're actually making a beeline for the Baron, though it appears as though they might just be trying to bait out Farmers Fighting, as Farmers Fighting, they followed up a little bit before splitting off, and we have some recalls coming down from Super Team. They're looking for some major items, and man, Durpin dropping the speed to make it to the turret in time. This is the exact same thing we saw from Nestle in the last game. Super Team is just doing such a fantastic job of defending their turrets. They're not letting a single turret fall. In the last game, I think it went 38 minutes. Only 2 turrets went down for Farmers Super Team over the course of the entire game. That's a total 2,000 gold, whereas Super Team, they brought down all of the enemy turrets, all 11 of them in addition. Oh no, that is 11. So that's a quick 11,000 gold compared to the 2,000 that the Farmers Fighting got. It's that objective control that we're seeing from Farmers Fighting. They're now starting to group up around the Baron Pit. We've got pinks on top of pinks. They're actually going to start engaging it. Renekton is on his way to spot it out as they do see the rest of, oh man, Durpin getting caught in the Dark Binding. He's going to be taking a lot of damage. Agony's Embrace and Hexbringer keeping him alive for now, but Emily Von Comp with the completed Blade of the Ruined King secures that kill, but at what cost? Yes, they have Durpin. Yes, they have Dragon, but the Baron now going over to Super Team, and this is going to not be something that Super Team, that the Farmers Fighting want. They have no idea that this is going on, actually. They're going to see the Baron up Songs in that mid lane and then be like, wait, that's not good. And I at least like to think that they have an idea what that is going on. They know that they've gone behind Durpin, despite the fact that he is the smite for Farmers Fighting. He's really not too crazy. Yes, he does damage. He can bring people down super quickly, but he really needs a team to back him up. Like we just saw, if he ever finds himself isolated, he can be removed from the map rather quickly, as the Blade of the Ruined King finished on Vayne. Congratulations, she's made it. She finally does damage. She's got the static shift for attack speed and bonus attack damage as well. So it should be pretty fun to see if Farmers Fighting can put up an effective fight onto the now 4-man Baron buffed Super Team. Super Team, they're going forward, they're dropping a few forward wards, they're continuing to keep the pressure onto Farmers Fighting, and that pressure is manifesting itself in a quick 11,000 gold lead. Oh man, Ragnarok coming down as Olaf looking to secure a kill. AA247, he's not going to be able to make it over the wall and gets brought to his knees before Lucian, and finally destroyed by that incredible Lucian. And yeah, it's actually going to be an Infinity Edge Bloodthirster on Lucian. Not going to be a Last Whisper, not going to be anything else. Oh, Durpin looking to catch onto Emily Von Comp. Spotted out by a ward, though, means that he's going to be able to go down to that Orianna. In the meanwhile, the last tier 2 turrets has fallen. It's 6 turrets, 2-0. Super Team putting on a super display this game, as they have not dropped a single turret. They're up 3 times the kills. I think it's about 3.2, 3.3, as they're continuing to siege now onto the inhibitor turrets. Quick death sentence is going to whiff for Fiorino. Again, that's to raise the morale of Farmers Fighting. He's tossing out the skill shot saying, hey, juke this so you can feel better about yourselves. Whoa, the Scattered Weak comes out. Morgana uses the Black Shield to go down, but now that she's out of the fight, she's not going to get the Soul Shackles. Amon-Ra getting engaged upon heal, keeping him alive. Durpin locked down against the wall. He flashes out of this. So much AoE going down. Finally, Olaf falls. This is sort of a fight that it appears Farmers Fighting want. Songs get locked down too. Emily Von Comp going deep. She goes down to the auto attack. Songs survived that last auto attack, giving him a double kill. That's going to certainly mean the inhibitor turret with the next minion wave as Durpin. He's looking for Amon-Ra, but he's spotted out by that ward, so he is going to go down. Now Songs takes a turret hit and is going to walk away without taking the inhibitor turret quite yet. It's now 2-2. That was 3 kills for 3. And really, I don't know quite why Super Team went that ham. They had the Baron, they knew that they had the damage, but they just could not keep up with the Infinite Duress, the Color of the Meek, Command, Shockwave, Condemn, Dark Binding, and Soul Shackles. Everyone engaged to try to bring down Forgive Me I Suck, and the fact that he survived that entire fight, albeit with less than 500 health, means that he got off so much utility. He dropped the Tormented Soil for stuns, he dropped the Black Shield to keep Emily Von Comp and Amon-Ra at high health. He was even able to get off his heal to keep Emily Von Comp at high health with that Blade of the Ruined King. And while at the end Emily Von Comp found himself brought down by Justin Kimchi, he was doing some pretty solid damage. This is what I was talking about earlier. If Emily Von Comp can do damage to the Super Team, then he can definitely turn this around. He's on Vayne, the ultimate hyper carry. Every single auto attack is guaranteed to do enormous damage, give or take a little bit of damage. So he has got the Blade of the Ruined King, has got the Static Shiv, now working towards a Last Whisper. That means that he is going to be able to shred through the armor we're seeing on Olaf and Evelyn, and there isn't any armor on anyone else unless Thresh has got a little bit. Nope, he doesn't have anything. But again, Emily Von Comp staying alive throughout the duration of that fight, just doing tons of damage. Copyright Freak really helped Farmers Fighting turn this around. Now again, we see the siege beginning onto this turret once again, as all 5 members of Super Team are going to be pushing down, barreling into this. Correction 4, Nestle splitting up at the top, pulling away that tanky frontline Renekton. Renekton has completed the Ravenous Hydra, but no Randuin's Omen means he's not crazy tanky just yet. A few wards being cleared out by Thresh. The turret is regenerating health. It's up from about 300, 400, up to about 1,000 now, so it can survive at least a few minion waves. But at this point, it's just Farmers Fighting, slowly sinking deeper and deeper. They're no longer treading water, keeping even with the pressure from Super Team. They're no longer bringing themselves out of this whirlpool. They're slowly sinking deeper and deeper into this gold pit, this gold sink we're seeing. That's actually a good analogy, the gold sink whirlpool for Super Team. They're just continuing to put the pressure down. Dark Passage juking out a command attack dissonance from Amon-Ra. The death sentence finds Forgive Me I Suck, but Black Shield allows him to walk away with his life. Dark Binding is not going to find anyone. Songs at pretty low health is going to be spotted out. Again, that's the AD carry, though they still have to be aware for Derpent and Justin Kimchi, as Derpent is building AD on that Evelynn. He's up to 201 right now, currently sitting at 6, 2, and 12. That's 18 kills. Currently the highest kill participation for his team. I don't know if that's the highest in the game. 7/9 divided by 7 divided by 9 versus 18 divided by 23. It's about a 75% kill participation ratio. I think it comes out to 78, 79. But again, that's just me derping around with math. Not something you guys need to be listening to. 30 minutes in. Siege continuing for Super Team. They're 14 kills up, 6 turrets to 0. And for the first time in about 5 minutes, we're seeing the Farmers Fighting leave their base. They're finally feeling safe enough to extend out just a little bit, try to contest some objectives. Derpent going to solo the dragon here for a quick 2,000 gold, I think, this late in. Yeah, that's going to be 1,300 over to Super Team, further increasing their gold lead now to 15,000, or 14.5 if you want to get nitpicky. Baron's going to respawn in about 30 seconds. And while Vayne does enough damage to really fight the enemy team, she doesn't have that last whisper completed just yet, and with only 800 gold in the bank means that she's not going to have it done by the time that Baron respawns. Without that fully built Vayne, I don't know that Farmers Fighting are going to be able to contest this Baron fight. I don't think they're even going to try to make it to the Baron pit in time, as we see Kimchi and Fiorino actually heading down to that Baron pit. Now, Justin Kimchi, he's got the Deathfire Grasp and a Rabadon's Death Cap. He can 1A, 2A, 3A to remove a target from the map with that Deathfire Grasp and his power unleashed power. We do actually have the Baron being started out from the Super Team. It does appear as though Farmers Fighting are in a position to try to contest it if they make a beeline for the pit. They don't have a solid steel team, and it appears that they're just going to let it go. They have to know that this is happening, and the Baron goes over to Super Team without contest. The fact that Farmers Fighting give the Baron over without so much as a wink of the eye, basically, means that Farmers Fighting, they have got to be completely demoralized right now. They know they're 6 turrets down. They see on the scoreboard it's 23-9. They can't know how much gold they're down, but the fact that they see all of these objectives going over completely uncontested to Super Team means that they just cannot be feeling too great. Death Sentence threads the needle, finds 247. He is removed from the map. Calling finds G-Man, links Nestle, going deep to try to see if he can make anything happen. That's Olaf's Ragnarok securing so many damages. Songs now taking a few turrets from G-Man Links. Calling of the Meek locks him down, but unfortunately G-Man Links is going to be the sole survivor, and with less than 100 health, he is in no position to contest this inhibitor turret, now going down for Farmers Fighting. And it's 1 versus 4 against a Baron up team. G-Man Links is on the recall. He has got home guard, but this could very well be the end of the game and the elimination of Farmers Fighting. If we do see the Nexus push going down, there are a few pings actually onto the inhibitor turret, and this is some patient play from Super Team indeed. They're going to try to secure the inhibitors. They have got the damage to do that and continue to increase their advantage and wait out the fight. They know that they got 1 successful dive under inhibitor turret, and now that they're from 15,000 to 20,000 gold over the enemy team, It's something that they can definitely do again, as I expect them to recall, pick up some more core items, and become even scarier. Now, G-Man Lynx, he did a good job of locking Songs down under the turret. That was something that he needs to do, but Nestle with Ragnarok on that Olaf was not something that Farmers Fighting could deal with. They tried to run away. We saw Emily Von Kamp back away. Same thing with Amon-Ra, but they got instantly obliterated by that Blade of the Ruined King damage from Derpent, Kimchi, and Nestle. Not that they all have a Blade of the Ruined King, but the fact that there's the double Blade of the Ruined King, you guys know what I mean. Words, you understand what I mean. Justin Kimchi on the recall now finished a Void Staff and added an Elixir of Fortitude in addition to an Elixir of Brilliance. Now, the Fortitude is the blue elixir. It provides ability power and cooldown reduction. The fact that he has an additional Elixir of Fortitude means that he wants to end the game now. He's not building that elixir for damage. He's building it for additional health to soak up the AoE poke from G-Man Lynx, from Amon-Ra, so that he's not removed from the map. After he tosses out his unleashed power, he wants to be able to follow up with more Dark Spheres and Scatter the Weak. Scatter the Weak after unleashed power is fantastic because you just toss out a huge minefield of orbs that can stun the entire enemy team, and it's really, really fun to do and watch and just really see. So hopefully he will be able to get that off. Super Team are continuing to pressure down. Now, the last remaining inhibitor turret, it's 8 turrets to 0, a 20,000 gold lead in favor of the Super Team. There's 17 kills up, 8 turrets up, and now sieging the last turret. They're 2 Barons up as well. This is not looking very good for Farmers Fighting. We saw that they can get the solid picks if they can remove Kimchi and Songs from the equation, but with the 5 members of Super Team all grouped up like this, I don't think they're going to be successful in an assassination unless Amon-Ra can find Kimchi out of position. We saw the Elixir of Fortitude instantly dropped from Kimchi to soak a little bit, but that's actually now going to be on cooldown. Derpent actually inside of the base is not even going to try coming in through the front door, and it looks like the last stand is going to be now for Farmers Fighting. Amon-Ra getting dived by Nestle. He's going ham on Olaf. That truck is just going to town. Unfortunately, Songs is going to secure that kill. G-Man Lynx soaking as much as he can. It is not enough, however, as he falls. 247 dive now by the remaining members of Super Team. Derpent locked down under the turret, but he walks away with his life. That's 3 turrets, 3 kills, an inhibitor, and an inhibitor turret going down. The Nexus turrets themselves have now fallen. The Nexus is now going to be the target as Super Team are looking to take this series 2-0 over Farmers Fighting, and godlike secured at the last second by Justin Kimchi. Super Team advanced to the grand finals of the Erectronics Spring League of Legends 2014 tournament. Man, really impressive play from the Super Team at the end of that game. They took their time, took their advantages step by step by step. They said, look, we secured bottom, let's take top. We took top, let's go mid. Let's take dragon, then move on to the tier 2s. Step by step by step, they had it written out and planned and just put that plan into action. And together they came as 5, grouped up and became the powerful Exodia and obliterated Farmers Fighting from the map. Farmers Fighting did a good job of putting up defense, but after that early advantage going over because of the surprise factor of Derpent, they just could not bring themselves back in. They tried treading water to keep even with Super Team, but they just slipped further and further behind until finally we saw Super Team take the win. And that's going to be 2-0 in favor of Super Team, bringing them to the finals. Tomorrow, you can watch them play against the Fappy Birds at 7 p.m. Pacific time at this exact website right here, twitch.tv/erectronics.tv, or at the Erectronics website. And we'll also have our bronze match between Banana Peels and Farmers Fighting. That's going to be happening at the same time. I don't know that it's going to be streamed by us at Erectronics, but I think some of the players might be streaming it as well. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name has been and always will be Caster Seda. You can follow me on Twitter at Caster Seda, and be sure to check out erectronics.com. They've got a really solid website, and them setting up this tournament for us is really, really cool, and it is a pleasure to be a part of it with you all. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow at 7 for the grand finals.